don't forget the money, man.
What's up? What's good? Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Saturday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great, even though right now the world's just kind of jacked up. If you could please hit that like button, if you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you get all these videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description. So this is Canadian prison interview number 10. It's the first milestone. And today I brought on White Boy Lockdown Radio from Florida. And we're going to give you a second here, bro. Honestly, I've looked forward to this interview. And, you know, I've wanted to have somebody on from Florida, but I wanted to have somebody on with that feels kind of on like a similar state of mind that I am. So I'm happy to have found your channel. And, you know, if you just want to tell everybody who you are, you know, a little bit of your backstory and what you're about, and then we can take it from there.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me, Matt, man. I'm happy to found your channel too, bro. You have a good, positive message, man. I've been binge watching all your stuff. I like it. Hit the like, everybody. What's up? I'm Matt, man. My channel's White Boy Lockdown Radio on YouTube. Check it out. I am from Florida. I kind of met you from Death's channel. Death speaks good about you. Big shout out to 23-1 out there.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to him. But yeah, man. I've done 2 bids, man. I got about 7 years in the chain gang altogether. The first time I got caught up, you know, I was in the streets a little bit, selling dope and this and that, you know. So I got caught up with that. And the second time I got battery on law enforcement officer. It was kind of revolved around the same thing. I got out. I was out for some years. Kind of got trapped back into the old lifestyle. I was living with one of my friends, man, and he was doing the same thing. And the cops hit the house, and the rest is, you know. I kind of didn't want to go to jail that night, I guess, if you will. And I put my hands on him, but that was a bad mistake, you know. So I went back, but I've been out now for 6 years, and you know I've accomplished a lot, man. I got a house, dude. I bought a house, you know. I love it. That's all I do, you know, is work around my house, and I got a good paying job, but it wasn't easy, you know. Just like anything else, I had to, you know, you start from the bottom. You know how it is when you get out. It's hard. You have to start completely over. You lose everything. You lose a phone, everything. You have to get another ID card. I don't know how it is in Canada, but you know, I had to do all that, man. But
you know,
yeah,
same shit.
Yeah, right on. But you know, the first bid, it was tough. You know what I mean? The second bid I did I seen a lot of stuff in both bids that I did, but the second bid was treacherous, man. A lot of stuff, you know what I mean? A lot of craziness goes. I don't know how much you know about Florida, but it's a crazy place.
Where exactly did you do your time in both bids?
Well, not, you know, reception centers, you pass through them, you go. So I don't really talk too much about them, except for the few stories I say on my channel about those. But the majority of my time I was in Florida's Panhandle, which is right up, you know, underlining Georgia and underneath Alabama. Hamilton and Holmes was the majority of the time that I did on both bids. The first time I was sent to Hamilton, the second Holmes.
Okay, so in Canada, or in Ontario specifically, we have lots of gangs. It's got a large black population, right? Lots of In the federal system, I'd say that it's calmer than the provincial system. So the way it works here is anything over 2 years is federal. Anything under 2 years, you do in provincial. And if you go to provincial, the prisons are a lot like the prisons you guys have, like the tiered out, locked away in cells. But once you get to a federal place, you're in a more comfortable setting for the most part, and people tend to be a little more friendly. But when violent does pop off, it's way, way, way more serious. Now, I don't know exactly how it is down there, but our politics, you have a sex offense, that's no good. You can't be in general population. You know,
Right.
a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff which I hear from certain stories on YouTube about Florida wouldn't really go on. So could you actually just kind of tell me what the politics are like down there?
Sure. It it's a lot different from here to where you're at because here, for instance, just going off what you said, for here is you will do county time up. You can do up to a year in the county. Anything if you get sentenced to anything more than a year in the day, you're going to do state time. Federal time is a whole different type of bracket. Like you have to catch a certain degree of a charge to go to federal. But
Yeah, it's like collar stuff, certain cross-border dope charges, stuff like that, right?
absolutely. For the sex offender dudes, absolutely, dude. It's this, I think that's the same. That's probably like a worldwide thing if I had to guess. But I mean, um, they get no respect, and they can't really live anywhere. What I mean by that is like if you're a sex offender, especially if it's something on a child, or even if it's like any charge altogether with that, if there are people sending them money or whatever, and they hit the window, and whatever it is, if there are people send $50 every year or $50 a week, they go to the window. When they get back to the dorm, people are just gonna legitimately go take everything they have, and no one's gonna get their back. No one's gonna stand up for them. So they have a real rough time in there. But politics in general, like you mean like with gangs and stuff, or like what races, or
Yeah,
what do you mean?
yeah, just like because you hear like California politics where you whites have to be with whites, blacks have to be with blacks. See, up here in Canada, it's not like that. Like
Right.
it's pretty multicultural and diverse, and you can pretty much associate with anybody depending on how you move. So, like for instance, if you're a white dude who has respect from white guys and black guys, and you hang out with the black guys, you'll be all right from everybody. But if you're a white dude who acts like a black dude but doesn't have respect for white guys, then you might have a rough time if you land in certain places, depending, because it wouldn't be seen as authentic. So that's the kind of politics that I mean,
Okay.
like here there's no booty bandits. That can't happen. You'd be murdered for that.
That's good.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it's great.
but I mean, all right. So okay, so Florida, compared from California, um, I did an interview with Smiley. I don't know if you watch him or not.
Yeah, I do sometimes. Yeah, it's
He's a
good.
real
Good.
good. Shout out
Yeah,
to Smiley, and shout out to Whack out of the West Coast. But it seems to me, after talking to them and stuff, California is real racially segregated. You know what I mean? It's like it's always been over there. Okay, now for Florida, it's not like that. Like talking to those guys, whites have to stick with whites, black. Okay, so in Florida, it's a little bit complicated, but the majority of people, the majority of people here are in some type of gang. Okay, if you're not in a gang, they're gonna call you a neutron. I don't know what the word is in Canada. Is it the same thing?
I mean, you wouldn't use that word, but it would be the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you have gangs. Okay, with gangs you have all types of sets. You have the big ones. You have your Bloods, your Crips, you have your GDs, you have your Aryans. Okay, you have your gangs. Okay, then you have the neutrons, which is a small percentage of people. But no matter what set you are of a gang or what it is, no matter what race you are, you're gonna have you have your ID card, which has your mugshot and it has letters and numbers on it. You're gonna have your home team. So in Florida, there's a whole lot of counties here. There's a lot of counties inside the state. Whatever county you were sentenced from, okay, it's gonna be on your tag. So needless to say, if regardless about what gang that you're in, you will be in a county, and it doesn't matter if you're white or black or Spanish or whatever.
Repping
If
that county.
Yeah, you have to kind of rep the county. You don't have to, but it's in your best interest kind of too, because if if something goes down with somebody in the county that you're from, you know, and they're in the grid and they get into something. I'm just talking about hands fighting. I'm not talking about stabbings or anything to do with that. Um, you know, it goes both ways. Those people are going to get your back, vice versa. I mean, to be a neutron, not to be a gang member, that's perfectly normal. But to not kind of get your home teams back, it's kind of like looked down upon. So it's complicated. You have the gangs, you have the home teams. It's very gang related down here. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. But yeah.
So Toronto has major gang problems. If you look on YouTube and look up Toronto, just look at the drill scene in Toronto. There's a lot of gun violence in Toronto right now. A lot.
Yeah.
And I would say that from the way that you've described it, our gangs would be more like home teams. Like they're mostly from neighborhoods, and a lot of them will rep Blood or Crip. They'll have colors associated, but it's not really, that doesn't define who they beef with. Like they could be beefing Crip on Crip, they could be beefing Blood on Blood. It's more about what hood you're from and how you're repping your set. Now you could be a neutron, no problem, because our federal system for the most part is based off of respect.
Right.
Like you get to maximum security, it's a different environment, right? So it's still based on respect, but you have to have a certain level of confidence and arrogance to even like be comfortable in that environment, right? Like you have to carry yourself a certain way. You know that. I've never done max fed time. All of our provincial time in Toronto is max. It's all gooned out. It's all dangerous, But in
Right.
federal, for the most part, unless you're in max, you could just do your time and chill. Mind you, if you're in a high medium like Collins Bay or Joyceville Penitentiary, you're still going to see a lot of violence.
Right on. Right
Not
on.
many fights, a lot of stabbings.
Okay, that's how it is. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of both here in Florida. I wanted to say something as well, talking about politics and stuff. I'm just gonna use like the Bloods and the Crips for a second because everybody knows, everybody knows who they are. Okay, so I kind of broke down the home team thing and the gangs and whatever. Okay, you got the politics get really weird because if we're gonna, for an example, use the Bloods and Crips, it's no question that on the street those guys, they butt heads, they beef, I guess, if you will. Now in prison, okay, they leave that beef alone. So it gets really weird, complicated, and strange because on the streets these guys would be trying to hurt each other, beef with each other, kill each other, whatever have you. But as soon as that you go behind the gate, they leave that in the streets and it's a neutral thing. You see what I'm saying? And then it gets real complicated because you have gangs in there that will kind of tie flags with other gangs. Like for an example, the Bloods and the Latin Kings, they're cousins. I don't know. I just know from living in there and having to pay attention to be on cue. But like so that type of stuff is incorporated too. It gets really confusing, man. But you have to. I was never in a gang. I probated for a few, but just being in there, living, trying to survive, you have to know everything that I'm explaining right now. So it gets complicated, but you have to keep up with it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, it's similar, like you just said, because our like the Asian guys here, Chinese guys, Vietnamese guys, they do that same thing. They leave their beef in the street, and these guys, like they shoot each other dead on the regular on the street,
Right.
And you see them in a bullpen. Say for instance, you got two Vietnamese guys in a bullpen, and they don't know each other, or they have beef, and I start fighting with one of them. That other one's jumping in 100%. He's jumping in. That's how it goes here. No one-on-one, not many one-on-ones here. Those rules are kind of out the window with this new generation. Like this. Things have changed a lot. But I do have a question. So
Yeah. Shoot.
tell me something. Maybe the most, not the most scary, but tell me something that really showed you, shit, this place is real, and if I don't move a certain way, I could lose my life.
A couple instances, man. It's crazy that you said there's no one-on-ones there. It's Canada and Florida. It sounds completely different, but at the same time, if you had to migrate and do it and live it and learn it, it seems like you can adapt to it. But in each of my bids, man, I've seen a guy get in an argument with somebody, and they hit the wall. And here in Florida, every place, every prison, no matter where you go, they're going to have a secluded spot where it's kind of where everyone can go fight, get it off their chest, whatever. I seen a guy. What's that?
Blind spot.
Blind spot. I seen a guy get in a fight over a card game. He was beating the dude that he got in an argument over. He was beating him up. The dude stopped fighting. Okay. Everybody thought that the other guy got it. The dude went and he grabbed the blade, went right back to him, dude, on his bunk, and just did him, man. And it just goes to show you, like, I've been in a lot of fights myself, and before this incident, I've seen a lot of fights, but fighting is always not the end result. You know what I mean? So seeing that, seeing what happened to him, seeing him go to medical, seeing his face on the rec yard after all that, it's nuts, dude. You have to, it's stuff like that to where you're just like, man, shit, yeah, where am I? What planet? I used to always say this, man. What planet am I on? Because it's like you're living in a different planet almost. You know what I mean? It just is.
Well, I find it to be like living in the streets. It's the same as the streets, like this, but being in the streets, like we are in the streets. Like we're in the streets, anyways. I find it a lot like that, and I have a similar story because for me, I remember I was on my range, and I had done a little bit of time, federally, and I'd seen people get cut up a bit. But I remember waking up one morning and going to walk out of my cell and my door being locked, right? So I reach my hand out with my mirror and I look and I see nothing. And I look into my neighbor's cell to see
Right.
what's going on. And all I can see is a deep pool of black blood on his mattress.
Ooh,
So
that dark blood.
yeah. So it turns out that these two native dudes ran up in there as soon as the cells cracked and stabbed the guy like 40 times from his shoulders up, trying to take him out. And it was eye-opening to me. And I ended up seeing a lot of violence. I've seen people get
Yeah.
killed, but that was the first time that I realized. And I had heard stories about one dude walking up and down the range while he was screaming. At the time, I had problems with noise, so I would sleep with earplugs in, so I didn't hear any of it. But one dude was
Right.
standing outside of the cell telling the dude to man up as he's being stabbed up because he's screaming, because that's how he got woken up. Like you're not in control anymore at that point, right? Like I don't feel you are. Now, the worst thing you can do is turtle. That's the worst absolute thing to do if you're getting stabbed, right? But
Yeah.
now let me ask you this. If you had one piece of advice to give to a young guy, a young con who's thinking about going and getting involved in all that stuff, and really maybe just thinks that it's a stripe, like it's cool to go to prison, like you need to really have that respect, what would you say to him?
It's a good question, man. I would say use your brain and think about what you do before you do it. Before you act on it, no matter if don't, just think, man. When I was coming up young in the streets, I would do a lot of stuff. I would make a lot of fast money. Besides the financial aspect of it, there was a part of in my head where I thought it was cool and this and that. I guess you know what I mean. So or if you going and getting into a fight or trying to hurt somebody, if you're at a party or any of that stuff, man, you got to think, man. You got to think what can happen, man, and just watch your videos, watch your channel, watch any YouTubers, prison channel, the stories in the videos, man. This is some real stuff. It's just think before you do something. Hopefully anybody watching this video, you guys, you watch it for entertainment, or maybe you watch it because you have a loved one in there or something, but don't get involved. Don't get involved with gangs, man. Just think before you do. Think before you act is the best advice I can give. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think that, when you're coming up and you're hanging out with certain people and you're doing certain things, I think a major problem in the system is that you get the slaps on the wrist early on, right? So for me, I got slap on the wrist, 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 bang, right? And then
Yeah,
after that, it was just bang, 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 time, 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 fuck you and your life, pardon my language. Uh, and I think that personally, a good idea would be you give a harsh sentence, but no record, if that makes sense. Now, you don't lock a kid away for 20 years. That's not what I mean. But you don't take the aspect of punishment. More say, I feel like you take hard rehabilitation programming and maybe like boot camp style program. I remember I did a program. It's called Project Turnaround, and they sent me there. And in 5 months, you couldn't watch TV. All you were allowed to do was do schoolwork, play sports, ate quality food. They had an obstacle course. They had two dogs there. They had two dogs even. You're up at 5:30 doing push-ups, Olympic style free weights. The problem is that the system doesn't follow up. So
yeah,
they create these strong young men, like that's what happened to me, but then it was like see you later, back to the streets, and now it's just more of a machine. But I feel like if there was more rehabilitation to go along with it, instead of putting kids in a prison sentence setting, because I know you guys have JITs, our young offender is similarly violent. Like it is violent, more violent, I'd say, than adult. So
right.
if you could sit down in front of Congress or anybody and make one change to the system, doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's young offender, adult, that could really make a change in how many people reoffend. What would you say that would be?
Absolutely more funds for the Department of Corrections, incarceration funds. I've never been to Canada. Like I said, I've been binge watching your channel. I like it. Even speaking to you now, I'm learning about like the difference it is here. But it's very similar to what you just said here, bro. As far as the program that you went through, here it doesn't matter if it's at a JIT camp or if it's in an adult camp. It doesn't matter what camp you're at. There is very limited funds, man, and there's a lot of things going on that when people get these charges and get these times, no matter what age you are, no matter where you at, it's there's no funds, there's no really any rehabilitation, man. It's just here, go here, and it's almost like it's the only programs they have is they try to push the younger guys to have like get their GEDs or whatever you have, but there's nothing to set you up for release. There's nothing to set you up in there to, change the way you think, change the way that you react. There's just no funds here, man. And I don't understand why that is. I never will. But it's a big elephant in the room. And if I was, that's the first thing I would say to Congress. They need to do that in Canada, here, everywhere. So when these guys go in, they come out with something, something that they could have picked up in there. You know what I mean?
I think I understand why. I genuinely think that they do it on purpose to keep us on a revolving door policy, so
I
their
agree.
jobs are secure. it's not especially in the States, I feel, because you guys are privately owned. We're
Yeah.
our prisons are run by the government, and although they still treat us like garbage a lot of the time, I feel like we probably get treated a little bit better than you guys do. From what I hear by the stories and the food, I hear about the food down there. The food up here is bad, but in some prisons up here, federal prison, you cook your own food. You go to a
Really?
damn grocery store in the damn pen and buy all your shit, and you
Damn.
live in like if you're in a low medium, you live in like an apartment building. You cook your own food. You play sports all day. Place is clean. It looks like a college campus. But then you get to like a high medium, then it becomes a penitentiary, and you see a lot of things. So now let's just switch to the streets a little bit. You said you've been out 6 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah. 6 years, bro. Yep.
Now, I don't know how you started. I know for me, I got out and went into treatment. Now, I had to really fight to get into the program I got into, and it changed my life. And I feel like if that kind of a program was offered to everybody, it would change everybody, because I was somebody who I didn't think could change. Now, I still struggled at first. I had struggled with criticism. I had struggled with power and control, because I used to use aggression and intimidation to control the people around me. So I didn't
Absolutely.
have to hear things I didn't want to hear. So how do you cope when you have to deal with people, and you know that they're civilians and stuff, and just life is so much different? How do you cope with staying level-headed and staying focused, and what just drives you for that?
Man, working out, bud. I when I was in, I had a lot going through a lot of everything that you just said with the aggression, intimidation, being on your P's and Q's, and just being in a hostile and violent, atmosphere. When I was in, I got a lot of aggression out working out. In Florida, they don't. My first time I was in, we had weights and stuff like that, but the second time, they ended up taking them out. I don't know why. Inmate.com says the inmates were getting too big, so they were fighting versus the officers. I don't know the real reason, but I would just kill it, man. And it without the weights, doing calisthenics and having to create all these different ways that you can get a workout in, it just took the aggression away. And I applied it to the streets, Matt. I still go to the gym heavy. And it works, man. I get stressed out big time out here nowadays. I still do. But especially when I first got out, having the low paying jobs and getting told no, and just having the hardships of life, bro. I just funneled it all to working out, man. And it's been like a haven for me. You know what I mean? I don't know what I would do without working out. I push all my energy into that, and I stand behind it, 100%. You know what I mean?
Well, I totally agree. I feel like, I'm somebody who's trained a lot of my life. I have a hernia right now, and I just work so damn much that a lot of the time I don't really feel like it. I'll get back into it. I'm one of those guys.
Right.
I've been up to almost 240 pounds. I'm only 5'9".
Right on.
I really put my work in, but I tore my AC joint in my shoulder. I got an inch of my collarbone cut off
I
from doing
got. Yeah. I shattered my collarbone on a motorcycle. Yeah, it sucks.
I was doing it from too many push-ups and calisthenics, because I just took it to a whole nother level. I got addicted to that pretty much.
Absolutely.
I was an addict, and for me, it didn't matter what I was addicted to. If I put my mind on something, I focused my energy onto that, I became addicted to it, regardless what it was. So, I really enjoy the interview. Before we go, I got one last question. So, for me personally, every day, I see my life progressing because of
Right.
the way that I am. And I used to be a different person, and I thought that maybe I could change the way I behaved and move a different way. But honestly, when I separated myself from that part of my life and really focused on a different path, I changed deep down in my spirit. Like, I'm not the same person. I don't have the same anger anymore.
Yeah.
I'm driven differently. I want to help people rather than hurt people. And I feel like our message is super important. Now, I do still have times where the old life tempts me, but I'm able to refocus my energy because I've found new positive things to do that keep me focused on that. So, what is your biggest motivation and purpose in life? Other than like working, you told me about working out, but what something made you want to change your life and really focus on being a better person? What was that?
All right, my family, bro. You know, again, getting out, starting from scratch. When I got out, I had a little bit of a toxic relationship, and I can relate with you 100% on addiction, man. I went through that, and I know that struggle. It's a very, very hard struggle, and I salute you, man. You're in 12 steps. You're working with a sponsor.
No, I just done it all on my own.
Right
I
on.
did I did start. I went to AA and NA, and I met the guy who got me my job in AA, and it changed my life. But now I have my girl and me. We're both in recovery, and we just support each other, and things have been great.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that 100%. I salute you, bro. A lot of people don't understand the struggle of that. The people don't understand it unless you've been through it or know someone who has. So I tip my hat to you on that. But it's overcoming that. I got out. I had a toxic relationship. I kind of when you get out, I guess the way to say this is you have to start over, and you any man that's going to go back to where he left off from. So being said that, I kind of went to an ex of mine, and it was a catastrophe, but I ended up cleaning my whole act up. I just worked hard, and I met my wife, and we have a family now. And it just goes back to what I was saying about think before you do something. Back in the day, I would go make money, or it was nothing for me to go get into some type of ruckus. And sure, I know the outcome, but it was just, it is what it is. If I get caught, I get caught. Nowadays, I can't have that mind frame because, it would be a selfish way to think. I have my family, I have a house, I'm the sole provider. So, it's good. It's a great feeling getting out and going to work and realizing that you're paying bills, you have nothing to hide, nothing to worry about, no stress.
Can't take it from you.
That's a good feeling, man. And it just that motivates me, man. I'll say this, I say it a lot on my channel, but I'm proud to be a square nowadays. Ripping and running and living that life. That's not for me, man, because there's really no peace in that life. You have anxiety. You're always worried about getting caught up. If the cops are going to come get you, I don't live like that anymore. And this is the way to live. You know what I mean? And it's where it's at, bro. You know what I mean?
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. If you could hit that like button, that subscribe button, that bell notification button, and share with somebody on social media, that would be amazing. There's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description. We share our experiences with you guys, so you guys don't have to go through this stuff. The reality is, we would love for nobody to ever go to prison again, but that's just not going to happen. So at least people could watch these videos and maybe have a chance to come out and have something to inspire them and motivate them to want to be different. And maybe they'll learn something that will save them when they do go in. So thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate you doing the interview. Thank you very
Hey,
much.